Hello everyone, my name is Ibrahim Adepoju and I'm the CEO of Times, and today I would like to welcome you to another episode of our podcast titled The Future Ledger. And today we are going to be talking about automation with accountability, the need for internal control. And in today's episode, I'm bringing in Jinadu, and he's going to be the one anchoring this, telling us some things from his experience about automation with accountability, especially the need for internal control as we're all moving into automating this, automating that. So I would just love Jinadu Ajibola to introduce himself and tell us some of the things about his experience in the next 1 or 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you much, Ibrahim, for having me. I'm glad to be here. So my name is Ajibola Jinadu. I'm the founder of my CFO NG, and ultimately we are here to help businesses and their systems get better with people, processes, and technology as regards their finances. So that's essentially what I've been doing for the past 5 years, and it's very exciting to actually be able to help businesses like grow or strengthen their financial processes and systems on this journey as everybody's trying to get better, get faster, and make more money.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that. So my first question for today is, just as you said, everybody is running out of automation, even this podcast, automation. But as automation becomes more prevalent, what are the key internal controls that you think CFOs and accountants should prioritize to ensure accuracy and compliance in their business?
So I'll answer that question with a kind of a twist. So the twist is that if you do not have internal controls being very strong and processes being very strong, automation would not solve that problem, because you just have a situation where you have a garbage in, garbage out. So the thinking around it is, it's not as if automation would automatically bring structure or automatically bring control into your business. Your internal control needs to be strong even before automation. And then what automation will then do is that it then enhances those controls, those systems. So things that are easy to bypass then become less easy to bypass. I started as an auditor, and there's something we used to do about automated control testing. And in manual control testing, we say if something is supposed to be done 5 times, sometimes we test it, and by the time we test it and maybe there's one deviation, we then look and say, okay, maybe that was out of the ordinary, that wasn't really important. But then when we tested automated controls, there was no chance for deviation. So it means that the system is working perfectly all the time, every time. Summarily, if you're a CFO or a business person, I'd say one of the first things is strengthen your processes, strengthen your controls as you embark on the automation journey, so that you don't rely on the system to then be what's going to carry out the automation for you. So if you've not segregated your duties before you automate, you still have the same problem when somebody can bring in something and the same person is the person on the other side cross-checking it. Because when you bring in automation, the person will click that I sent it, and the same person will click that I received it. So automation has made things easier, but then you've not really solved any problem. If you have access controls, everybody can access certain things, you still have a problem. If you don't keep trails, everybody will have all these kind of issues. So automation itself brings in some new things, but then the idea is people should actually strengthen their processes and controls long before they get into automation, or if they're embarking on the journey, strengthen it and then let automation then do what it does.
Yeah, I think that was very amazing. And I would love to know if you can give us like a practical use case or example or scenario of a particular type of business. And how you think, like, from your own experience, how you feel like organization like this, how their internal control should look like, even the kind of related to the business.
Okay. So there are many. I would say there have many examples, and I will talk about one. So it's kind of like an automation journey. It was a business that they had problems with people stealing their stock. So people were stealing stock all the time. Stock was getting missing and all of those things. And then the company decided that, digitization is going to be one of the ways we're going to use to monitor our stock levels. So they then embarked on the journey of digitizing, or as in doing automating that, digitizing and automating, because those things go hand in hand. They bought the software, they bought scanners, they bought stuff with barcodes, and all of those things to make things very easy. But what happened was that within that space, they didn't used to have stock counts. They didn't have stock counts at all, as in to be able to actually check, like, okay, what is on the system? Is that what's actually available? Is the system doing what it's supposed to do? They didn't have that. They didn't have somebody that was responsible for stock. So people could literally come in, take the item, not scan in, not scan out, and then just go. The system cannot grab that. The system cannot cover all of that. They had a situation as to when, even at some point when they decided to count and there were differences between what was counted and what's on the system, all they just did was this stock adjustment, and then they moved on. So ultimately, they spent a lot of money on the digitization, but nothing really changed because there was no accountability. There was weak physical access to the inventory and stuff like that. So as they were going on that automation journey, what they should have done was also clearly define who does what and protect the items themselves outside of it. So automation would then help you make it very easy to then say, okay, the controls are in place. There's only one person that can issue stock, and that person has the scanner. You can scan, and automatically the system takes out from stock. It's almost like you see at ShopRite. They have lots of items there, or those kind of large stores. They have lots of items there, but people are scanning in, people are scanning out, and they are using it to manage their stock very well. So the controls come in place, and then automation then helps you just strengthen it further. So that's a practical example of how I've seen that work in practice.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the biggest problem with organizing to have physical products. I think if you have physical products, it's very important. I think one of the things I'm able to pick here is that when you're even planning automation, you need to put accountability in mind, because accountability is very, very important from what I've seen here. And that is what is going to lead to my next question. So we are trying to look at it whereby many people, it's not really like they don't want to set up internal control. So people just don't know how to get started. That's just the honest truth. All of us are bombarded with a lot of information online today, a lot of theoretical information on how to do this, how to do that. Which software should I use to check and do that? But as the CFO, if I'm to implement internal control in my organization today, what should be my first step? What are the things that I first start, penning down, to put it in place?
So before the controls are the processes. The processes are the main thing. So the process is pretty much, sometimes they are called procedures, in other places they are called workflows. So all those things are kind of but let's focus on workflows if you want to take it down to the technology angle. So for every business, they have their workflows. So this is what happens. So for instance, there's what you call your revenue workflow. So before you sell, before there's an exchange of a transaction, every business has what happens. So for some businesses, they send the customer makes an inquiry, and then the business sends a quote, and then the customer confirms the order, and then the order is fulfilled, and after they fulfilled and delivered, and after that the payment, they do the billing, and then the payments are made. So that's just an example. That's not a universal one. Then another company, it could just be that they have an online store and people just go in there. There's no need for quote, or the price is already there. They click, they choose, they make the payment and all. So the first step is really identifying your workflow. What happens? How does A flow to B, flow to C, flow to D, flow to E? So all that needs to be properly identified. So the next step is, how do you check that these flows are working properly? So between A and B, what's the step in B that confirms that A was correct before moving to B? What's the step that is correct before happens before B moves to C? Then what's the check that ensures that if you just skip from A to D, nothing goes, it triggers you that, oh, you've missed certain steps, because sometimes people can skip certain things and then there's also no consequence. So all of those things are actually what goes into internal control, setting them up. So I guess every business owner or every management staff, including the CFO, have an idea of what they are doing in the business. So once they already know that, they can then decide, okay, these are the controls we are going to put in place. And because we've used the word workflows, when you bring automation into it, you can then use automation to check every of these instances. So because even with small businesses, the transactions move very fast. Before you know it, you're already having 1,000 transactions. You can't realistically check every single one of them. Even if you have an internal audit department, you can't check every single one of them. So you can use automation to ensure that those workflows are working perfectly. You can use automation to alert you when you have a situation where the workflows are not working properly. And then you can also continue to use automation to refine the process, because you also get real-time data, real-time information to be checking the system. So okay, the system is working well, the system is not working well. So that's essentially what you need to actually get started. It's not really rocket science. It's just about paying attention to what you have in your business.
Yeah, I think that's very insightful, and I like the fact that there are different workflows and there are different journey in your business that you need to automate. Automation cannot be because software is an automation software. Like Times an accounting automation software, but everybody should not just jump on Times and say because this software is an automation software and I start using it that way. If you understand your business, you should know what are the automation you need. How do you want the journey of revenue to go? How do you want the journey of inventory to go? And I think that makes a lot of things. So I think just don't jump on any software. We should know what we need internally. And if we get a consultant and an advisor to guide us, on how to go about it. So I think that the last question that I have for today is looking at some components like audit trail. You make mention of audit trail. It should have just been a grammar on this call, but it's good to have an understanding of what is even audit trail, for example, and some other things, what do they entail. So if I'm looking at audit trail and information I should be looking for, because there are some of the information that technology or software will return back to me or for me if I'm doing a kind of process automation. So if you can just tell us some things about audit trail and maybe any other terms that are also similar that you need to know about and know how you can interpret them or analyze.
So yeah, audit trail primarily, the trail is the main thing there. The audit also just helps, but the trail is the main things. And I'll try and relate it to technology. Since that's what we're talking about. But in practical sense, for every step you take, you leave a footprint. Let's put it that way. So in the digital space or in the workspace and all that, sometimes you leave your digital footprint, you leave your footprint. So in many businesses that lack accountability or weak controls, you can't really see the footprint. So you don't know who did what, when they did it and all of that. And it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to track that manually. You can try, but it's going to stress you to track it than to actually do the thing. So audit trail is something that pretty much just logs the activities of the users so that wherever there's an issue later on, you can actually trace back who did what, when they did it, and pretty much what they did if you want that. So the trail is very important for information purposes. So for the most part, people use audit trail to try and catch people that did bad things. That's essentially where they get, but most of the time, it gives you information about the system. It gives you information about your processes. Okay, this person that is posting this journal, sometimes you can see, it takes about 5 minutes to post a journal. And then it could just be either the person is not that competent or it's harder to post the journal. So it could be, what could we do to make the journal posting time be like 1 minute? Or we've noticed this person is always on the journal trail or posting stuff at midnight. Like, okay, so what's going on? So you can use it to get a lot more information that would help you refine the processes. Again, it's about the processes. Then refine the controls. So if things are always falling out of place, so many errors, so fraud, whatever, and you can always go back to the trail and say, okay, who did what? When did they do it? And then always continue to use it to refine the process. Other than that, as in logged users and things like, it relates to the other trail. So, when you're on that journey, you need to be able to really let people come in, and then once they log in, it's okay, yeah, you logged in, you have these access rights. So access rights is very important in a controlled environment. just because I'm an accountant doesn't mean that I should have access to all the accounting areas, depending on my company. So if I have like a boss that is a CFO, he can actually maybe approve my postings or my journals and things like that. So access rights is very, very important as well. So, but to take it back to what we said earlier, it's all about thinking through the stuff, thinking through how everything flows, how everything interconnects. So because the major problem I see with the automation journey is that a lot of people get software and think the software is going to magically solve their business problems. And I know you're one of your software vendor as well, so to speak. And sometimes it's not their fault because it's marketing. So people market it like, yeah, get our software and you solve this problem, you solve that problem. So yes, the software can solve the problem. In fact, I'm yet to see a software that's useless. Let's put it that way. I'm yet to say it. Like, if you use it very well, it does the work. But the software will not solve your business problems. It won't solve your control problems. It won't solve the problems of you not thinking critically on how to get the best out of it. So that's how you then marry the two and then make the most of both of them.
Yeah, I think that's very amazing. The honest truth is always that the software we build is always going to be your companion. So that's why we call it co-pilot, call it assistant, call it call it a lot of names, but you not see us calling it like your replacement or your boss. We'll call it assistant, co-pilot.
Yeah,
because we need you for it to be efficient. And I think this has been an amazing session. I've been able to gather more insights when we're looking at this internal control from the area of organization putting in accountability first. Before you look at automation, you should look at accountability. You should understand your business and even know how you want your automation, how you want it to flow, which is very important. You see the theft issue that might occur if you're into inventory business and you don't have a good control. And we also see the impact of having a kind of trail, a kind of log. I was even surprised. I know during the time it took like you have to record the journal entry, or know that a particular person recording entry in the midnight, you need to take note of it. So yeah, these are a lot of amazing things. And I'm very sure that our listeners are going to gather some insight and maybe look into their accounting software or whatever software they're looking today and see whether they need to put internal control in place. Not everybody should just jump on the software and record sheets and take it straight to the ledger. So I think this is a very amazing session. I really appreciate your time. Ajibola, Jinadu, thanks so much. And I'm very sure a lot of people will still get to connect with you. You're always sharing amazing insight online, and we're happy to have you on this call. I'm looking forward to talking to you some other time. Thanks so much.
Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And please feel free to call me anytime. I'm always ready to share more insight.
Okay. All right then. I'm Ibrahim Adepoju once again, CEO of Times Air Power Accounting Software for businesses and finance team. Bye everyone.